All of this happening as a new poll comes out showing that when it comes to who Americans trust more on the fiscal crisis, it's a Democratic blowout. 56% say they trust the president and the Democrats to make a good faith effort to cooperate with Republicans. 51% say Republicans won't act in good faith. And a whopping 65% support higher taxes on households making more than $250,000 a year. Perhaps knowing this, the administration is talking with a little more political swagger. Treasury Secretary Tim Geithner drawing another hard line in the sand in this interview with CNBC.
When it comes to raising taxes on the wealthy, those making more than $250,000, if Republicans do not agree to that, is the administration prepared to go over the fiscal cliff?
Oh, absolutely. Again, we see there's no prospect to an agreement that doesn't involve those rates going up on the top 2% of the wealthy.
And we want to bring in and say good morning to Congresswoman Diane Black, a Republican from Tennessee, also a member of the House Budget and Ways Means Committee. Congresswoman, it is great to have you with me right now. And as we speak, House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi is giving her briefing this morning. And we put that up for everybody to see. So when we talk about where we are in the staging of all this drama, the back and forth, the clock ticking, Americans truly watching this, you'd think that the House would be in session today, but instead you all closed up shop a day early, streamed out of the Capitol yesterday in a walkout. What gives? How do you explain this to the American people when they would expect you should be at work trying to resolve this?
Well, I'm not sure you would call it a walkout. We're waiting for the president to act. We have laid something on the table, and we continue to just be stalemated by the president and his administration. I'm so disappointed that the Treasury, Geithner, said yesterday that they're willing to go off the fiscal cliff, and they're not willing to negotiate and put something on the table. And we've put a good faith effort on the table. And you know what? The president is the leader. I expect him to lead. I expect him to be in Washington rather than to be out campaigning. The campaign is over. It's time to sit at the table with the leaders. And that's what it's going to take. And I'm very disappointed that that's not happening.
Congresswoman, as we started off the show, though, I reported the new Quinnipiac poll that's out. Over 65% of Americans agree that taxes need to be higher on those making over $250,000 a year. And I know you like to say these are small business owners, these are the people that are going to give jobs to the American people. Sure. But when we look at this as a whole and the mandate that was given as a collective voice with the president's re-election, and he ran on the fact that he was going to raise taxes. And now this polling supports the fact that Americans want to see taxes raised. How can you stand there within the halls of Congress and say that that's not something that you're willing to do?
Well, I think that's a really good question, but here's my question. If I say I want my neighbor to pay more than what I pay, I don't care what level you're at, you will always have that happen. But I think what many of the American people are not aware of is how it's going to directly impact them, and that is their jobs. Because these are the job creators, and if the job creators then don't have the money to either put back into their company or they
But how can you have it both ways, Congresswoman? If you say that people are out of work and they're unemployed, and you say that these are the job creators, these are the same Bush tax cuts that have been in place throughout the last 10 years. So how can you say that this is something that needs to stay in place if we're in such a bad place, yet you don't want to look at the idea of knowing that we need to raise revenue and do take an impact on our spending so that we can balance the sheet of what the American book looks like? Exactly,
and balance is the word, and that's the thing we're not talking about. We're talking about this raising taxes on that top 2%, which are the job creators, which will bring in exactly 8.5 days worth of revenue. So how in the world can you continue to just stay on that topic and not turn to the other side and say our spending is the problem? We cannot raise taxes enough to take care of $1 trillion worth of deficit spending every single year. And so let's get off of this and get onto the other side and start talking about what we have to do to cut our spending, to reform those entitlement programs that are the debt drivers, and then do pro-growth tax reform that will stimulate the economy, get the money coming in. It's the best way to get money coming in, and that gives everybody a job and helps to take care of the fiscal problem, and balance is what we need.
Congresswoman Diane Black, thank you for joining me this morning. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.